How it is that humans are able to comprehend one another. Ever thought it before? The question has existed for as long as human civilization. An essential aspect of our existence is communication, the sharing of thoughts, ideas, emotions, and information. Through words and symbols we are able to communicate meaning in a way that seems effortless and natural. But have you ever given the mystery that lies underneath it all any thought? Isn't that fascinating? How do we interpret simple noises or pen strokes on paper to convey meaning? How can the word love arouse sentiments of love, or the word tree denote a tall plant with a trunk and branches? Scholars have been trying to solve this riddle for ages by coming up with a variety of theories. Every theory, from pragmatics to semiotics, from linguistics to cognitive science, provides a different angle on comprehending meaning and communication. But how did these theories evolve? Let's explore the intriguing path of comprehending communication and meaning. Imagine a world where sounds, gestures, words, images, and even objects have a multitude of meanings. That is the world in which semiotics emerged in ancient Greece, and that is where our adventure begins. Greetings from the intriguing field of semiotics, which is the study of symbols and signs. The Greek word semion, which means sign, gives rise to the field of semiotics, a potent instrument that reveals how humans interpret signs. It aids in our understanding of the environment around us, much like a decoder ring. It's not just about words, it's also about sounds, pictures, and even what we wear. Everywhere we look around us, in books we read, music we hear, advertisements we pass, we encounter semiotics. We even use them when sending emojis. However, this fascinating area of research did not appear overnight. Its origins can be found in ancient Greece, when thinkers such as Plato and Aristotle started to ponder the nature of signals and their function in human comprehension. They believed that signs held the key to solving the puzzles surrounding the cosmos and human existence. Aristotle claimed that words are indications of mental experiences, in contrast to Plato's theory that signs and symbols are only representations of ideal forms. Semiotics had its beginnings with these Greek philosophers, but it wasn't until the late 1800s that the field really took off. Semiotics as a formal discipline was established by the American philosopher Charles Sanders Peirce and the Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure. They argued that signs are more than just symbols for objects. Rather, they are reality itself, broadening the Greek conception of signs. Semiotics was still in its early stages even with these advancements. The sign and symbol theory was a multifaceted field with wide-ranging consequences. To fully realize semiotics' promise, many more years, many more thinkers, and much intellectual wrangling would be required. Even so, it was evident that semiotics had created a new avenue for our understanding of communication and meaning. Although semiotics laid the groundwork, there was still much to learn about meaning and communication. When we travel back in time to the 20th century, we witness a profound change known as the linguistic turn. As the name implies, this shift saw a movement in focus away from the study of signs, which dominated the area of semiotics, and toward the study of language. The idea that language is a structure that affects how we perceive the world, rather than just a means of communication, lay at the core of this shift. One important person in this regard was the Swiss linguist Ferdinand de Saussure. According to Saussure, language is a system of signs, with each sign consisting of a thought and a sound image combined. He underlined how arbitrary this relationship is, contending that a word's meaning is determined by how it differs from other words rather than by its intrinsic meaning. The theoretical framework known as structuralism, which sees culture as a system of signs, was founded on this concept. According to structuralists, a sign's meaning is ascertained by how it interacts with other signs in the same system. Next was the Austrian-British philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein, who made significant contributions to the study of language and mind philosophy. Wittgenstein proposed that the meaning of a word lies in its use within a language game, a system of rules for using words. As a result, post-structuralism emerged as the primary focus changed from language structure to language usage in social circumstances. Post-structuralism questions the notion that a word has a single definitive meaning. Rather, it implies that meaning is dynamic and always subject to change depending on the context in which a term is employed. This perspective created new opportunities to investigate the intricacies of language and communication. However, despite these advancements, the linguistic turn had its limitations. Nonverbal modes of communication were neglected as a result of the emphasis on language. Furthermore, the concentration on language usage and structure was insufficient to explain how meaning is produced and comprehended. However, words couldn't fully convey everything. The search for comprehension went on. Presently, Pragmatics offers a fresh viewpoint that goes beyond language. We enter the field of pragmatics as we continue to explore our understanding of communication. This method takes into account the context and actual use of language in determining meaning rather than only concentrating on the structure and rules of language. Pragmatics is essentially the study of how context affects meaning interpretation. It aims to clarify the various contexts in which we use language and how those contexts impact our comprehension and interpretation of both spoken and written language. The physical environment, the knowledge that the speaker and listener have in common, and the speaker's goals are all taken into consideration by Pragmatics. Notable individuals who helped establish this viewpoint were Paul Grice and J.L. Austin. The cooperative principle put out by English language philosopher Grice holds that we should interpret language with the presumption that the speaker is attempting to cooperate and deliver relevant information. This idea aids in our comprehension of the subtleties and unspoken meanings in the conversations we have on a daily basis, as do Grice's conversational maxims. Conversely, Austin, an additional English philosopher, introduced the idea of speaking acts. He proposed that language use involves more than just saying, it involves doing as well. When someone says, "I apologize," for instance, they are doing more than just speaking. They're expressing regret through their actions. The pragmatic method was greatly influenced by these ideas, which were first presented by Grice and Austin. They aided in our understanding that language is more than just a set of rules and symbols. Rather, it's a tool that we employ, impacted by a variety of elements ranging from our surroundings to our intents, to engage with the world and with each other. Thus, pragmatics expanded our comprehension of communication by a new angle. It recognized the intricacy of interpersonal relationships and the influence of intent and circumstance on meaning. But as we'll see, the quest to fully understand communication is far from over. Although pragmatics brought a fresh perspective, was it the last missing element? The final leg of our journey brings us to the cognitive revolution. When delving into the cognitive method, it's critical to recognize that it emphasizes mental processes in communication and meaning processing. It's not only about the words we write or speak, it's also about the way our minds understand and absorb those words. Envision an extensive network of neurons, all firing and interacting to form a sophisticated web of knowledge and awareness. Our brain is this complex structure, and the cognitive approach revolves around it. If we are to fully understand this transformation, we must discuss cognitive linguistics. This field of linguistics holds that our experiences and perceptions influence the language we use. It makes the case that our cultural upbringing and individual experiences have a profound impact on how we interpret words and phrases. For example, based on one's life experiences, various people may associate different pictures with the word home. It could conjure up images of a comfortable cottage in the country for some people, or it could represent a busy apartment in the city for others. These perceptions are shaped by our cognitive processes, which is why every individual's comprehension of language is distinct. The cognitive revolution also heavily relies on neurolinguistics. This field investigates the processing of language by our brain structures. It all comes down to comprehending the physical, neurological connections that enable language production and interpretation. It enables us to understand how specific brain damage can impact linguistic abilities or how learning a language can physically alter the anatomy of the brain. The cognitive method has improved our knowledge of human communication immensely. It has demonstrated to us that our brains actively interpret language, forming our perception of the outside world, rather than only being passive information receivers. We've made significant progress in our knowledge of communication thanks to the cognitive method, but never forget that knowledge is a never-ending quest. So, where do we stand right now in terms of our comprehension of communication and meaning? Have we not gone a long way? From the development of semiotics, where we began to grasp signs and symbols, to the linguistic turn, which stressed the significance of language in forming our reality. The pragmatic method then emerged, expanding our comprehension of meaning by providing context. Not to be overlooked is the cognitive revolution, which included our brains and highlighted the significance of mental processes in communication. Each theory expands our understanding by adding a new thread, color, or layer, much like an exquisite tapestry. However, the picture isn't finished. Theories of communication and meaning are always changing as research expands our understanding of these topics. As we speak, new threads are being woven into the tapestry to offer more depth and richness. The journey of understanding is a continual process, and each step takes us closer to unraveling the enigma of human communication.